सीरियल किलर डॉक्टर टेट गिरफ्तार।
पहले आयुर्वेद में डॉक्टरी की डिग्री और इसके बाद 11 साल तक मेडिकल प्रैक्टिस, फिर एक फर्जी गैस एजेंसी और बाद में किडनी ट्रांसप्लांट का रैकेट।
In the village of Kuda Katla in Dausa, Rajasthan, life moved slowly. The streets were narrow and lined with old homes. Children played cricket with sticks. Women drew water from the well. And every morning, people gathered at the Rameshwar Dham temple, a small but peaceful place that had recently become the heart of the village. Why? Because of their priest. He called himself Dayadas Maharaj or Sant Dayadas. He wore sacred clothing, had a gentle voice, and always greeted people with a calm smile. Villagers said that he was wise, kind, and deeply spiritual. He often gave sermons about karma, peace, and letting go of anger. He helped the elderly, offered blessings, and even fed the poor. People would later go on to say that he even offered medical help to those in need because he was a doctor. He had a small place near his ashram where he would treat the poor. To everyone in the village, he was Sant Dayadas, the man they could go to, talk to, share with, and even say prayers with. But behind closed doors, he was not a sant, he was not a holy person. He was a monster, hiding in plain sight. This priest, whom people thought that he was here to help them, to save them, to protect them, is said to be one of the most notorious serial killers in India today. He would later get the nickname Dr. Death. Hello and welcome to the 3 AM Fear podcast. I'm Nikita Ferrao, mystery and thriller author. On this podcast, I talk about real crimes and real people. Due to the graphic nature of some of this content, listener discretion is advised. You can find the episode show notes on my website 3amfear.com. Let's get started. In this small village called Dausa in Rajasthan, this priest had been living here for months. From the outside, everything looked ordinary. A place run by this priest to whom people would go for their religious sermons. But behind closed doors, he wasn't that religious. No one, not a single person, ever suspected who this man really was. He was Dr. Devendra Sharma, one of the most notorious serial killers in India, also known as Dr. Death. Dr. Devendra Sharma had allegedly killed over 100 people, sold more than 125 kidneys in illegal transplants, and fed the remains of his victims to crocodiles. And yet, here he was in Dausa acting as a Baba. While here, he had even gone one step further and started the process to acquire a building. He said that he had big plans for this building. Apparently, he was planning to launch something called the Balaji Old Age Home. The board was already up. The plan, it was set in motion. Just 5 days. Just 5 days. He had 5 days to go and this place was set to open. But just before that, tragedy would strike for him and he would get arrested. It was said that the building was fully furnished. He had partners helping him. His home inside the temple was not one that you would find a Baba living in. He had Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and even CCTV surveillance. Not something that you would find in the home of a holy priest. He was trying to build an empire out of the blood of people. And all of this was going to happen on May 25th, 2025. Devendra Sharma had been on the run since August of 2023 when he was released on parole from Tihar jail. There, he was serving life sentence for multiple murders and illegal organ transplants. After being let out, he disappeared. The authorities had no idea where he was gone. And that's when the Delhi police did something simple. They put his old mobile number on surveillance. For months, the number stayed dead. No signal, no activities. But one day, he made a mistake. He recharged his phone. The moment that SIM card pinged a nearby tower in Rajasthan, the police knew exactly where to go. A team from the Delhi crime branch dressed up in civilian clothing and went to that exact same place where his SIM card had pinged. As they reached there, they found out more about him, the Baba, and when they saw him, they knew this was him. But they didn't arrest him immediately. In fact, they would wait for 10 whole days before arresting him. What they did on these 10 days? They attended his sermons. They acted like his perfect followers. They listened to his sermons, took his blessings, attended every single retreat he conducted. And on the 10th day, when they had all the evidence that they needed, and when they were sure that he was not going to run away or he hadn't suspected anything, they arrested him. As soon as he was arrested, he immediately started denying everything. When the police asked him, "Are you Dr. Devendra Sharma?" he said, "No, I'm not Dr. Devendra Sharma. I don't know whom you're talking about." But the police knew very well. They had his biometrics, they had his photo, they had his fingerprints, they had everything. The truth finally came out. And when the people saw him being handcuffed and taken away, and when they found out who this man really was, they were initially in denial. They couldn't believe that the person to whom they were praying with all this time, the person whom they thought was this pure Baba who was blessing them, looking after them, treating them, was actually a serial killer. One man would go on to tell the reporters, quote, "He lived here for months. He gave us sermons. He blessed our children. He didn't look like a killer. He looked like a saint." End quote. Some of the more shocking details would come out later on when people would say that some of them actually saw him walking around with clothes soaked in blood. But at that time, they didn't think much about it. They thought maybe it was a ritual or maybe something else or maybe there was an accident. But they didn't think or never even considered the possibility that this man could be killing someone. What shocked the people even more was the scale of his crimes. Not one murder, not two, but the amount of crimes. From 1995 to 2004, Dr. Devendra Sharma ran one of India's most notorious kidney rackets. He would get taxi drivers or truck drivers under the pretense of long-distance fares. And those men were never seen again. Their bodies would be dumped into this canal that he knew was filled with crocodiles, and they would never be seen again. This, according to him, was the perfect crime because there would be no proof left. No body, no proof, nothing tying back to him. And why did he do all of this? Of course, for money. Let's talk a little about his past. Dr. Devendra Sharma was a native of Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh. He wasn't someone who started with crime. In fact, he said that he was betrayed financially. After earning his Bachelor's of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery, that is BAMS degree, in 1984, he ran a clinic in Rajasthan for over a decade. In 1994, he said that he lost 11 lakh rupees in a gas dealership scam. After losing that money, which he said was all of his life savings, he had a huge setback, and that got him to go into this world of crime. Before getting into this line of crime, Dr. Devendra Sharma worked at the Janta Clinic in Rajasthan. He had been practicing medicine for 11 years and he had a lot of money saved up, 11 lakh rupees, and he wanted to invest this somewhere. When he tried to invest it into this gas dealership, the brokers apparently took his money and ran away. He was depressed. All his money, all his life savings were just gone. Heartbroken and financially ruined, Devendra Sharma returned to Aligarh. The loss devastated him, and he was left with nothing, no clear path. And that's when he came in contact with another doctor in Aligarh. This doctor apparently told him everything he needed to know about kidney transplant. According to Devendra Sharma, this doctor told him that there were a lot of people who needed money and they were ready to sell one of their kidneys because they could survive very well with one kidney, so they were ready to sell one of their kidneys in exchange for money. If somehow Devendra helped them get one of these kidneys, then he could make a lot of profit out of it. And he was excited. From 1998 to 2004, Devendra Sharma completely got into this illegal operation. The initial idea was that there were poor people who were ready to sell their kidneys in exchange for some money, and these kidneys would go to those people who were on the waiting list but didn't have a lot of time or didn't want to wait for a lot of time. It is said that along with another doctor and several middlemen, he helped arrange more than 125 illegal kidney transplants across Delhi, Haryana, and Rajasthan. Now, with each kidney transplant that he did, he earned around 5 to 7 lakh rupees. Initially, everything seemed to be good, but soon he started to realize that the amount of people who were ready to donate their kidneys were less compared to the ones who wanted kidneys. And that's when Devendra Sharma got greedy. He thought instead of waiting for people to come and give one kidney, why not just grab hold of people, kill them, get both of their kidneys, double the money, and then get rid of the body. That is, in the Crocodile River. For him, another plus point was that he didn't have to give a small amount of money to these kidney donors. It was like a win-win situation for him. It is said that he opened a fake gas agency in Aligarh, the same business that he wanted to open, the one where his life savings were gone. But this time, it wasn't just about business. It was much more. This was the base for illegal kidney operations. By the early 2000s, Sharma had formed a criminal gang. Between 2002 and 2004, he shifted his focus. So now that he knew exactly what he wanted to do, the next plan was to find his victims. The best people that he could think of were truck drivers. After opening his fake company, he started booking these truck drivers. He would tell them that he wanted his items to be delivered and he would go with the driver. Now he made sure that these drivers took the path that crossed the river. He would start booking truck drivers under fake names and then he would go with the driver to deliver the items. And he always made sure that the drivers took the path that he needed. So how he would do that is that first he would get fake documents, he would get fake identities, and then he would make sure that the truck driver would be all alone and he would go with the truck driver. They would leave from Aligarh and head towards areas within a 50 to 60 kilometer radius, places that are usually empty. One of his main locations was near the Hazara River, which was in Uttar Pradesh, about 50 kilometers from Aligarh. Once he reached that place, he would murder the truck driver and his team was already ready. They would take the body, extract the kidneys, and the body would then be thrown into the river. And why? Because this river was said to be one of the most dangerous rivers because it was filled with crocodiles. People usually come to this river just to see the crocodiles, of course from far. And knowing that the crocodiles would not leave behind any proof, it was his best escape plan. For him, this was the best escape plan because getting rid of so many bodies would be so difficult. It is said that he had dumped over 50 bodies. Even after 21 years of these crimes being committed, not a single body has ever been found. So this was his pattern. So first he would book a truck, he would travel with the driver, he would then make the driver stop in the middle where his team was already ready. They would extract his kidneys and then throw his body into the river. Now after a period of time, he started to realize that this whole business was very tricky. People were asking a lot of questions and a truck is really big to get rid of. He could sell the truck, but then people would ask even more questions because why would someone want to buy a truck from a doctor? That's when he decided that he would switch tactics. Instead of going for truck drivers, he started going for taxi drivers. Drivers who were ready to go to faraway places for extra cash, especially late at night. And then his whole pattern started again. He would go and find taxi drivers who were ready to go to faraway places for extra cash. He would get into the cabs, he would tell them where to go, he would make them stop, his team was ready, the kidneys would be extracted, and the bodies would be thrown. Getting rid of taxis was much easier for him than getting rid of trucks. He would sell the taxi as it is by either changing the plate number, or the taxi would be dismantled and pieces of it would be sold separately. The bodies, of course, were not found. The taxis also were never found. A lot of people, family members of these taxi drivers, started complaining to the police. And soon the police had so many reports. Truck drivers going missing, taxi drivers going missing. Owners of the trucks, owners of the taxis started complaining that their vehicles were missing. The drivers were missing. At that time, they didn't know that all of these crimes were connected. They thought that these were separate crimes. Maybe taxi drivers were running away with their vehicles. Maybe someone was murdering them, separately of course. But they didn't think that all of these could be connected, and all of these were connected with a kidney racket. This brutal process continued from 1998 to 2004 for 6 years. During this period, Devendra Sharma murdered around 50 people, most of whom were truck drivers or taxi drivers. While Devendra's illegal racket was expanding, back in Delhi and Gurgaon, more and more missing person complaints were being filed. It is said that Devendra Sharma would end up selling these taxis in the black market for anywhere between 20 to 25,000 rupees. This not including the amount that he would receive for the kidneys, of course. Truck companies, taxi companies, families started filing serious reports. The police were confused, overwhelmed. How could so many people just disappear? Then, in 2004, Devendra Sharma booked another taxi. This was just another ride for him. He was supposed to take this driver on the specific road. His team was supposed to come in, grab the driver, get the kidneys, and throw his body into the river. But something went wrong. By now, more than 50 people had gone missing. The driver was, of course, scared. Everyone was talking about how these taxi drivers were mysteriously going missing. When Devendra Sharma sat in his cab, he started to get scared because Devendra Sharma was taking him on the very same route. Although he didn't know that exactly how the murders happened, he knew that this specific route from Aligarh is the route that the drivers usually took, the ones who went missing. Before they could reach the destination, something clicked in the driver's mind. He wanted to be sure. He stopped the taxi at a crowded place and told him, "I'll be right back," and ran away from there. He went straight to the police and filed a report. All those missing taxis and drivers, all of them had connection to Aligarh or nearby areas. Meanwhile, Devendra Sharma was sitting right in the taxi, waiting. He was wondering, where did his driver go? He was still sitting in the taxi and waiting while his driver was in the police station filing a complaint. The police immediately came and arrested him. They kept asking him multiple questions, and each time he would dodge them, and this made the police even more suspicious. Eventually, under the pressure of the police, Devendra started confessing. This was the first time in 2004 when he was publicly nicknamed Dr. Death. Allegedly, the police would later go on to say that Devendra told them, "Why keep the people alive when you could get both the kidneys and double the money?" It is said that he would later go on to say he needed to dispose of the bodies somewhere where there would be no evidence. He considered burning or burying, but then maybe someday someone would find something. And that's when it struck him, the Hazra River with its hungry crocodiles. He would go on to say that if he threw the bodies here, no one would ever think about it and the police would never find evidence. If there's no body, there's no murder case. So when he made sure to book a taxi or a truck, he always made sure that it crossed the Hazra River, which was a remote area about 50 kilometers from Aligarh. At the time of his arrest, there were 21 missing cases, but the police were sure that there were much more. Devendra Sharma was taken to court and was sentenced to life imprisonment. In one of his cases, a driver from Gurgaon, Devendra had hired the taxi and then killed him. Then the taxi was later sold. And when it was traced, the witness confirmed that it was Devendra Sharma who sold him that taxi. This became a direct evidence. In that Gurgaon case, the court sentenced him to death. Overall, he would receive 7 life sentences and 1 death sentence. Now, after he was sentenced, he was taken to Jaipur Central Jail. There, he would be serving his sentence. In 2020, he would go on to apply for parole. He said that one of his family members was very sick and needed him to be there. The judge granted him that parole. Devendra Sharma was supposed to come back in 15 days. But after 15 days, he didn't come back. The police launched a widespread manhunt for him, searching everywhere, from Aligarh to various places in Rajasthan, and almost all his associates. For 3 months, he was nowhere to be found. Then, the Delhi police got a tip from an informant. Since most of the taxi drivers involved in his crimes were connected to Delhi, and because he had been sentenced to 7 life imprisonments plus a death sentence, he had escaped on parole. And the tip was that Devendra Sharma was hiding in Delhi. Apparently, he was living under a new name with a second wife, and he had started working in property dealings. Devendra was apparently trying to sell a controversial building in Connaught Place. Acting on this information, the police developed a lead and carefully, after 3 months of tracking him down, arrested him again. After he was arrested, instead of taking him back to Jaipur Central Jail, they decided to send him to Tihar Jail. The year was 2023. After serving 3 years in Tihar Jail, Devendra Sharma applied for parole. This time, he said that there was a family function and he really wanted to go. By now, he was 65 years old. Taking his age into consideration, also his behavior in the prison, as well as a report that was given saying that he had been a very good candidate while he was in prison, he was let out on parole for the second time. This time also, he escaped. Even though he had done this before, he did it again. I honestly don't understand why he was given a first parole, let go of the second. The first parole, but he was given the first parole, he escaped, he was given another parole for good behavior, and once again, he escaped. And this time, he would end up in that ashram as a Baba. As soon as he failed to show up, the Delhi police became extremely concerned. This was serious because he was serving 7 life sentences and had even been sentenced to death. He was accused of killing around 50 people. He had already violated his first parole and now his second. The police immediately launched a special team to track him down. And finally, when his phone was recharged, they found him. As said, this raised a lot of questions to people to why he was given parole 2 times and he escaped both times. Now he is under arrest and serving his time in prison. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. If you don't know, I have another channel called 3M Fear Fiction where I narrate fiction stories. I will soon start narrating fiction stories like this in video format, so stay tuned. In that YouTube channel 3M Fear Fiction, I'll be narrating original horror and thriller stories, long and short. So please do subscribe to the channel. I'll link it in the description. Your support means a lot. If there is any case that you want me to cover, do let me know in the comments. And until then, stay kind, stay safe out there, and see you next week.